To tell the truth, I've been working on this video for a while, and by while, I mean a while. Originally, this video was going to be 3 separate videos, those being a Crystal Sapient and Petrosapient Extranet file, and also a video on the relationship between Vilgax and Petropia. But then I realized they all had something in common, that thing being Petropia, so I decided to combine them all into one video, and well, here we are. In this video, I'm going to go over the powers, abilities, and biology of Crystal Sapiens and Petrosapiens, as well as go over the history of their planet from its beginning to its destruction and eventual rebirth.
I am the stone that the builder refused. I am the visual, the inspiration that made ladies sing the blues. I'm the spark that makes you
Enter Petropia, a blue jagged planetoid much larger than Earth, home to the crystalline-based aliens known as Petrosapiens, Crystal Sapiens, and many other silicon-based life forms. Outside of the planet's destruction, not much is known about the history of Petropia, besides the fact that before its backup, the original planet was a craggy and geo-like planet where silicon-based life forms evolved, eventually creating a society of underground kingdoms and cities. Going over the 2 known species on Petropia, we'll start off with the Crystal Sapiens. There are only 2 Crystal Sapiens in all of existence, those 2 being Chromastone and Cellulite. Although in another universe, Crystal Sapiens are an entire species rather than just being 2 beings. But we'll get to talking about that universe later on in the video. Crystal Sapiens are silicon-based life forms made of highly durable crystal like most species on Petropia. Most of their bodies are covered in a protective silicon-based rock, while the exposed crystal is magenta, having purple humanoid bodies with several black lines and spots on them. They also sport shards all over their body, 6 on their back, 2 on their chests, and 1 on the top of their head, resembling a horn, just above their cyclopean eye. Along with having the ability to fly, Crystal Sapiens can absorb and channel energy into ultraviolet beams and fire them as energy blasts from either their hands or from the 9 crystals on their body. From mana attacks, cosmic blasts, electromagnetic radiation, and ultraviolet light, they can absorb all types of energy. Although Crystal Sapiens seem as if they can absorb an unlimited amount of energy, they do have a limit as to how much they can absorb, which can cause them to become overwhelmed and possibly break apart. Their planetary cousins, the Petrosapiens, are a lot more hard-headed. Petrosapiens are crystalline humanoid beings whose bodies are formed from opaque gemstones. Despite their crystal generation and crystal-like forms as well as their physical resemblance to titanite, these beings' crystals aren't worth anything. There are many different Petrosapiens that exist, each with their own gem color as well as body type, although the majority of them seem to be humanoid and blue in color. Young Petrosapiens have smooth shoulders and have yet to grow their bulky limbs until they do once they mature. As Petrosapiens grow, they will develop about 4 to 6 spikes along their backs, although the females, who only grow 2 spikes, seem to grow theirs later on in their life than the males, who grow theirs as early as 10 years old. Elderly Petrosapiens tend to look more worn and cracked, and sometimes have spikes on their faces that resemble hair. This species' rock-hard bodies are what make them some of the fiercest warriors ever known, and thanks to this physiology, they are rendered nearly invulnerable, having a noticeable weakness to sonic attacks. Due to their organically crystalline bodies, they are able to form weapons from their bodies as well as shields, being able to deflect laser blasts and can fire shards from their bodies. As mentioned before, Petrosapiens dwell beneath Petropia's crystal surface in underground cities and kingdoms, unless they used to. After several years of warfare, a giant hole was ripped in the surface of Petropia, revealing the greater universe far beyond Petropia's self-contained existence. With the inadvertent discovery of space, Petrosapiens began to stabilize their civilization, and they still had conflict with some other races of their planet, which was due to various species fighting that allowed but they still had conflict with some of the other races of their planet. And it was due to these various species fighting that allowed Vilgax to manipulate them and eventually led to the planet's destruction. Now we will get into the history of Petropia and the relationship and destiny between the planet, its people, and Vilgax the Conqueror. Ben has almost always defeated Vilgax's Diamond Head, so we'll look back at all those fights and deconstruct this rivalry and what they truly mean for the Petrosapien race. The first time Diamond Head and Vilgax clashed was in the Season 1 finale of the original series, Secrets. Using one of his strongest aliens, Ben sought out to take down Vilgax, but his pride had been lowered as soon as his crystal-like hands broke against the surface of Vilgax's cybernetically enhanced body. At this point in time, the hero was young, and had not yet quite grasped the greater universe that had yet to be revealed to him, even though Tetrax, the last Petrosapien in existence besides Ben, bestowed his teachings onto him. When Tetrax was young, he could care less about anyone else but himself. This attitude led him to sell the Petropia backup crystal to Vilgax, who used it to destroy Petropia once the Petrosapiens didn't submit to his rule. During Petropia's destruction, a crystal sapien known as Cellulite was on the planet, and thought to be dead as well. Although before his death, when Azimuth was taking DNA samples for the Omnitrix, the crystal sapien DNA sample for the watch was taken from Cellulite. This created a backup for the alien in the form of Chromastone, who we first see in the Alien Force era. Speaking of the Alien Force era, Vilgax's defeat in Alien Force was especially important, as it was with the return of two enemies meeting each other for the first time in a long time. With Vilgax's revenge boiling over for 5 years, he enacted his plan to conquer the Earth, kill Ben, and take the Omnitrix as his reward. During this battle, Ben inadvertently turned into Chromastone in order to end Vilgax's threat, but unlike the prophecy on Petropia, the Crystal Sapien was defeated and thought to be dead until the Omnitrix revived the hero as Diamond Head. It was this moment where Crystal Sapien had finally saved at least one world from Vilgax and ended the Conqueror's rampage. Another important point in Alien Force was when Tetrax returned to Earth after discovering the true power of the backup crystal. When released from Diamond Head by Tetrax, Cellulite took the backup crystal and absorbed it before flying off to restore Petropia and its inhabitants. Vilgax noticed this and eventually followed the Crystal Sapien, finding it restored to Petropia. After killing Cellulite, Vilgax realizes the crystal is useless, then leaves, which is when Ben finishes what Cellulite started. by turning into Diamond Head and taking a second backup crystal provided to him by a dying cellulite and restores the Petrosapien race. Ben wasn't able to access Chromastone afterwards until he obtained the Ultimatrix and later on the newly completed Omnitrix. But the sacrifice of losing one transformation in order to revive an entire race is quite poetic and possibly even biblical. Later on, Diamond Head would fight Vilgax again, but lose as the villain had fused himself with the remains of the galvanic mechamorph Malware, another adversary of Ben Tennyson, who would also be defeated by the Petrosapien transformation. This time Diamond Head wasn't a match, as even though he defeated these two foes individually, his Diamond Heart skin wasn't enough to break through the Chimera Mechamorph hybrid. Although Ben would defeat this enemy with his own fusion, it was still Diamond Head's abilities that shielded and helped protect the hero's friends and family as they escaped the devastation caused by the battle. This fight between Vilgax and the survivors of Petropia is so great. It exists even throughout the multiverse, with another version of Ben who defeated the Chimera with Diamond Head just as his prime counterpart did. Within this universe, Petropia's fate was quite different, but in a way much the same, when it came to the planet's history and development at least. Enter the Anthrosapiens. Petropia has many species on its planet, one of them being the very little known species Anthrosapiens. This species are enormous crystalline theropod dinosaur-like species who are purple in color, being distantly related to the Petrosapiens and had been warring with them beneath the surface of their planet. They manipulated the wars of the sub-sapiens for centuries, before making themselves known and tearing through the sub-sapien armies until they were defeated by an alliance between the Petrosapiens and the sub-sapiens. Anthrosapiens are able to create sonic shrieks that are able to destroy Petro and sub-sapien crystals, and the only known weakness is to reflect their own sonic attack back at them, which is how the crystal and sub-sapiens won the war, as they created a weapon to do just that. If injured, it takes eons for an Anthrosapien to reform their crystals. Later on, while the surface-dwelling species were rebuilding their planet, the Anthrosapiens returned underground and plotted their revenge before returning to the surface and allying themselves with the other races of Petropia to fend off the Fulmini invasion. Unlike the Prime Universe version of Petropia, the citizens united and caused the Fulmini to retreat, and their planet was saved. Petropia has a history full of wonders, loss, and second chances. I want to thank you all for watching this slightly different, but not really different, episode of Extranet Files. Leave a like if you want, and I'll see you when I see you.